Hello guys and welcome. Today I'll show you how I added my fan onto the Nintendo Switch dock with automatic on-off. Now what this means is, as you can see, the Switch is docked but in sleep mode. As you can see, no signal. The fan stays off. As soon as I turn the Switch on, the fan kicks in. And when I turn the Switch back off into sleep mode, the fan goes off again. This also works if, let's say, I have the Switch in handheld mode, but have it in sleep mode. When I go dock it, the fan turns on briefly when the screen on the front side is showing the battery charging icon. But as soon as the screen goes into sleep mode, the fan is off again. And now, let me show you how I got this method to work. Let's get started. So now let me show you the tools and equipments I used to make this mod. First, a tri-wing screwdriver for taking off the 8 screws on the outer cover of the dock. Next, a cutting tool for making the square and air pass-through slot on the dock, as well as shaving off 2 sides of this fan so that it fits. And for us to make the electronic connections, we need a soldering iron, solder, and some very thin motor stator wire. And for the actual electronic components with this mod, a fan, of course, but 60mm by 60mm by 10mm. The thickness is very important, as anything thicker than 10mm will not fit and will hit the back cover. We also have our special component, a N-channel MOSFET right over here. This is very important and is what we use to achieve the automatic on and off feature. Alright, and now let me show you how everything gets put together. So first things first, you need to remove the 8 screws on the outer cover on the back. Here, 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 and then these 4 places. Once all the screws are removed, the outer cover can be lifted away to expose the PCB and the inner cover. And now we can see all the mechanical modifications that we need to do to this project. So on the inner cover, I made a cutout for the air to pass through onto the switch. On the outer cover, I made a square cutout for the fan to sit in snugly. So I actually made mine a press fit, meaning I don't need glue or screw. The tension between the fan and this housing is actually enough to keep the fan in place. And lastly, I modified the fan by cutting off the housing completely on one side and shaving it off just barely on this side. Now this is done because we didn't have enough space between the top edge and this ridge here. So I had to basically modify the fan so that it can fit in this gap over here. And now let's talk about the electronics. So for this fan to work, we need to provide it with power and also find a way to automatically switch it. Now for the power, I connected it onto a 5-volt USB source. Now this fan is actually designed for 12 volts operation, as you can see on this label here, right in the middle. But running on 5 volts already provides enough air for the unit to be cool, but also reduce the noise. So this is great. And now we need to find a way to automatically control the fan. So what I did was I used an oscilloscope to probe around this board. And what I found is one of the GPIO pin on this USB 3 controller actually gets pulled low or high depending on the status of the switch. So when the switch is in the dock fully on, the pin gets pulled to 3.3 volts. And when the unit is in sleep mode or when it's not in the dock, the pin stays low at 0 volts. And this is great for us because then what we can do is use a N-channel MOSFET, which is what I have here, to control when the fan gets turned on or off. So when the unit is on, we have 3.3 volts over here, And what that does is turns on this MOSFET, so it completes the circuit, this ground loop onto the ground, and the fan turns on. And when the signal is at 0 volts, the MOSFET turns off, disconnects the circuit, and our fan turns off. So what I have done here is black wire the negative side of the fan, goes around, connects to the drain of this N-channel MOSFET. And for the source, I connected it directly onto the USB socket hold down, similar to this one over here, but over here I soldered it directly onto that for a perfectly nice connection. Also a way to hold down this chip so it doesn't move around. And for the controlling signal from that GPIO pin, there was conveniently a test point. So I soldered a really thin motor wire onto that test point, and that goes around onto the gate of this MOSFET. And this is all the modifications that we have to do to this unit. After that, we just have to connect it together and it should work.
And this is what it looks like when it's all assembled together. The wires of the fan actually they go really nicely in between the outer cover and the inner cover, so they're hidden all the way underneath, and it goes onto the control unit. When the back cover is closed, you can see there is just a slight gap between the fan and that cover, not touching. And from the other side, we can also see the fan spinning very nicely. And now we're going to hook it up back onto the TV and see it in action again. So some of you might be wondering if the fan is in conflict with the AC adapter Type-C cable. So actually, the answer is a yes and a no. Yes, it does rest on the fan. However, neither obstructs the usability of the other one, so I could still have the cable connected, going through the hole. And this is hard to do with one hand. Close the cover. The fan still spins freely, and the cables are all connected. So that's that. And now let's plug the unit back in. Alright, now I have the switch in my hand. Let's put it in the dock. As you can see, when the switch is docked, in sleep mode, the fan turns on for just a brief moment. That was, again, when the screen was on displaying the charging symbol. When the screen turned off, the fan turns off. Now let's turn on the unit. As you can see, when the unit starts to display the output, the fan also turned on. And we can now turn off the unit. Unit is off, fan also off. That's great. Alright, that's it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, please leave it down in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Take care.